Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and you have no idea how excited I am to break down Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer. I love the show so much. We all do, and rightfully so. Avatar is amazing, and before you ask, earthbending. Unless I can bloodbend. If I can bloodbend, then waterbending. But, you know, I would easily just be a villain in that universe regardless. And I'm gonna go through this trailer and point out some of the things you might have missed, and please fangirl with me and tell me what element you want to be a part of. I want to hear it all. Additional warning right now, just so you know, I will be spoiling a lot of things we saw in the animated series. Be sure to check out nerdriot.shop to check out our latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. You can grab our shirt featuring the best bubs, Deadpool and Wolverine, or maybe our latest shirt featuring Madam Web with the greatest line from any movie trailer in history. Grabbing some merch from nerdriot.shop is the best way to support the channel and all the work we do here at New Rockstars. Plus, I'm wearing merch right now. I wear this pink one a lot because I really like it, and it's a little crop top so you can see my little tummy good. Okay, let's get into this. If you're watching this, I assume you've seen the Avatar the animated series and not the 2010 movie. But for those of you who haven't, Avatar: The Last Airbender was an animated show from back in the day, like when I was a kid, and I'm old as hell now. In this world, not everyone, but most people can harness the powers of different elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Those elements and their people live in particular nations, kingdoms, or villages that have better terrain for their particular bending. But one person can harness all four elements, known as the Avatar, whose job it is to bring peace to the world. The series centers around a young old boy Avatar named Aang who disappeared and was found 100 years later after the Fire Nation had already conquered and ruled with the worst murderous grip. It's his job to now bring peace, but no one knows he exists. The Fire Nation's trying to kill him, and he has to fully learn and excel in all the bending skills quickly to save the world. Did I mention he's also like 12 years old? Okay, that is the quickest recap I can give you guys, so let's get into the live action trailer.
The Fire Nation is embarked on a dark path, and the world might never recover. The world needs the Avatar.
We open the trailer with the biggest takeaway: the freaking visuals on this show. Netflix put the whole bag into these visuals. My faith has been restored since the 2010 movie. I will not be over the 2010 movie. Never will be, never should be. We open on these icy waters of the North Pole. The Fire Nation is approaching. This is one of their royal ships, specifically Commander Zhao's ship from season 1, episode 19. This ship is bigger than the regular Fire Nation fleet, and he has this giant golden tiger figurehead for his ship, and Azula has a giant figurehead decoration as well, the royal sloop. If you've seen the original series, you know they're about to invade the water tribe. The narration is done by Monk Gyatso, voiced by Lim K-Soo. This was Aang's mentor and inspiration, a really sweet, funny man who was murdered when the Fire Nation invaded the Southern Air Temple. He's very important to the Airbenders, but especially to Aang. He's narrating the imposing doom that comes with the Fire Nation, and this pseudo-introduction narration was done by Katara in the original series, and we'll see her soon. Then we get a glimpse of our favorite flying bison, Appa. Appa might be the most important character in the series if you love cute animals, so pay close attention. Appa is Aang's loyal companion whom he bonded with for life. They met when he was a young little bison at the Air Temple, and he was everyone's favorite. He's the reason we go yup yup. He's usually everyone's mode of transportation, but he's also great during combat because he's a giant bison. Most animals in the Avatar universe are spliced with something else, or just random creatures, so he's not the first we see and certainly won't be the last. Below Appa, we see the trail of burnt woods that follows. This is from season 1, episode 7 of the animated series. We learn in this episode, hey, Bai, the spirit of the forest, whom we see later in the trailer, has been lashing out as a result of what happened by the Fire Nation and is furious that the forest will never return to what it once was. This is a reminder, along with this scene, how important nature was to everyone, especially the Avatars. It wasn't just their gifts, they recognized how important the land was to everyone and everything. Then we see the attack on the Air Temple by the Fire Nation that I mentioned, unfortunately, where Gyatso passes. In the animated series, the Southern Air Temple felt smaller. This one looks dense and beautiful. We haven't seen this scene in the series, and it will be one of the most devastating scenes to see. It's the genocide of an entire people. There's a reason why Aang is called the Last Airbender for a reason. The Fire Nation wiped out all the air nomads. Without Aang, the Airbenders would have been completely gone. I never really thought about that, which is really sad to say. If Aang just was never unfrozen, they would have been gone forever. The producers mentioned in an interview how important it is to see the scenes that were never shown in the series. So this means we might see the attack on the Earth Nation, Uncle Iroh losing his son, more of Azula's training while Zuko was away, and so much more. We could learn more about Jet and his family. This is huge for us, and going off these visuals will be delicious. Also, those aren't fireballs. Those are people imbued with flames flying in to attack the air people. All people with elemental powers don't really fly, more so hover or glide. The firebenders would sometimes launch themselves up with their fire, but I think a big takeaway here is that Aang said you couldn't get to the Air Temple without a flying bison, and we just theorized from that. But I guess in the Rise of Kyoshi, pathways to the temples existed that you could take by foot, but we just didn't see that. So in this series, they can show us something different. It looks like the Fire Nation's just gonna be flying up there with their fire jets. The Fire Nation didn't make their airships until after the Battle of the Northern Air Temple, so like season 3, so they wouldn't have had them yet in this series. The narration says the world needs the Avatar. And if this isn't already heartbreaking to hear and witness at the same time, then we get the sickest glimpse at Fire Lord Sojin. And look, I hate this guy, but man, is he sick in this scene. Like, come on, in the animated series, yeah, he sucked. He killed his best friend, but this guy looks so good in this cut. It's insane. Some may think this is Uncle Iroh, but I think this is before Aang and during the attack on the Air Temple, so this is most likely the slaying of Monk Gyatso. And god damn, in the animated series, we saw the dead Firebender soldiers and then Monk Gyatso's body, so he was running through all these guys until he couldn't do it anymore. And I kind of don't want to see that scene play out, but we gotta see it. We gotta see it. The producers want to show us what we didn't see before. Lord Sojin was the ruler of the Fire Nation and started the 100-Year War with the goal of taking over the entire world. He's basically like Queen Elizabeth or Isabella of Spain. Look at his armor, which is impeccable. The details of the dragon and the flames are... I'm eating this up. The visuals, again, they really laid into here. There are original animal benders for every element. So like dragons represent the Fire Nation, badger moles for the earth benders, and sky bison for the air benders, but the water benders had the moon, which I don't want to really get into right now because that episode messed me up, and we'll probably see it in the first season. Then the contrast from bright red to blue transitions us to the scene of the century, season 1, episode 1, The Boy in the Iceberg, aka the release of Aang, the newest Avatar. Well, he was already an Avatar, he's just being re-released from the ice that he was in. In the animated series, Katara broke the iceberg and Aang floated to the surface trapped in the ice. When he was released, a gust of air blew Katara and Sokka to the ground, and there he was. For those that haven't seen the original series, Aang ran away from the Air Temple when he knew his training would move him to the Eastern Air Temple. He and Appa got caught in a storm that led to crashing in the water, and he uses air and water bending to freeze themselves and use the Avatar state to survive. Fast forward to now, he's basically been frozen during the entire war, and that's where he went when he disappeared. It looks the same here, but the visuals are stunning, and according to Netflix's trailer breakdown with the cast, this was the first day of shooting. Who'd have thought? I love how many scenes from the trailer we've seen in the animated series so far because it's all so amazing and it makes my breakdown more fun. Then we're welcomed to the shady dark corners of the Fire Nation, and we meet Daniel Day Kim's Fire Lord Ozai, and oh, this man looks damn good. This is our current ruler of the Fire Nation, also Zuko and Azula, who we see in the next scene's dad. Iroh's brother and a master at firebending. Truly the worst person you want to go up against. I love that he has almost the exact same look, including the hair with the fire piece. The narration continues, this time I think by Katara, like in the original series intro, saying the Fire Nation has destroyed everything in its path. So Ozai has continued doing what his father started. Then we get a great look at Gordon Cormier as Aang, Kiyoantio as Katara, and Ian Osley as Sokka. And the outfits, again, incredible. I love it. You can make out even Katara's necklace, the symbol for the water benders. Katara and Sokka are siblings, and Sokka has no bending abilities, but Katara does. Additionally, they're Aang's biggest supporters and best friends. On the topic of wardrobe and costume, all of these looks throughout the trailer work so well and look amazing. I didn't know if they could do it, but I was proven wrong. The attention to detail with the designs for their particular clans are so tantalizing to look at. The waves on Katara's coat, the fire designs on Zuko's armor. I'm obsessed with the color pops. They look like they did in the cartoons. It looks so good, you guys. Behind them, there's a giant explosion, slightly illuminating green. I think it's a bomb or something combusted that isn't a bending person because we don't really have green flames unless it was from Ron and Shaw from season 3, the dragons. Then we cut to the Earth Kingdom and their ostrich horses. Opposite of them, we see Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation being a little butthole. Prince Zuko is played by Dallas Liu and is the heart of the Fire Nation at the end of the day, so we can't really hate him too much. And I know he's gonna be a pain in the ass at the beginning, but I promise he gets better. We cut to the Southern Air Temple 100 years after the Fire Nation attack. This is probably the scene we get in season 1, episode 3, which will also be when Aang finds the body of Monk Gyatso and has a minor breakdown. He feels guilty for not being there when all the attacks were happening. Luckily, Katara helps him through it. I hate the despair that comes with these views, but the ivy plants that get the stretch and climb all over the buildings, it feels like the environment is just restoring itself. Then we get a glimpse of Katara and Sokka's home, Wolf Cove, or capital city, the center of the Southern Water Tribe. I'm obsessed with the look here and the ice blocks with the chafed hardened white indents. I'm just obsessed with this set. It looks amazing. Back on Appa to the left of Sokka, you see Momo. Momo is a winged lemur and another loyal companion to Aang. They find him when visiting the Air Temple after its destruction, and so far, he might be the last winged lemur left after the Fire Nation took down the air nomads. We're overlooking Kyoshi Island. We'll be seeing Kyoshi Village later in the trailer, and this might be one of my favorite places because it's home to the Kyoshi Warriors, a group of warrior women who protect this island. Then we get Aang riding a ball of air and crashing into a statue like a little idiot. This is a direct call out to the intro sequence where he does the exact same thing because he's a little boy. He's a big goofy dummy. I like how in this one he's trying to impress people though, because basically in the other one he's just by himself running into statues. January can be cold and dreary, which means it's a great time to crawl into a Bond Charge infrared sauna blanket. Bond Charge is a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life, whether you want to sleep better, have more energy, or just de-stress, which is where infrared sauna blanket comes in. Bond Charge's sauna blanket raises your heart rate so you burn calories while you relax to help your body release endorphins and leave you feeling relaxed and euphoric. Ooh, euphoric. It's super easy to set up, heats quickly, and so now you can get the same relaxing benefits you would from a sauna while reading a book for 40 minutes on your couch.
Get him, Darla.
Bond Charge's infrared sauna blanket has free shipping worldwide and a 30-day free trial, so you can test it out risk-free. Go to bondcharge.com/new rockstars and use coupon code NR15 to save 15% off. That's BONCHARGE.com/new rockstars and use coupon NR15 to save 15%. Don't think I didn't notice that ball of cabbage Sokka is holding. Now, the cabbage merchant comes with the greatest lore to Avatar history. He's a simple man who sells cabbage that will continually be destroyed or damaged by anyone and everyone all the time. He can never be successful, and I think he is going to be making an appearance in the live action series. The cabbage merchant usually did business within the Earth Kingdom, so this scene of Aang impressing people might be linked to the cabbage scene, and we're currently in the Earth Kingdom. We open on Zuko's ship as he sails the icy seas near Katara and Sokka's home. Zuko is searching for the Avatar, and we learn in season 1 episode 12 that it's because he brought so much shame upon himself for not wanting to fight his father. They banished him to search for the Avatar, and only then could he return with his honor. His ship was also just as crusty in the animated series, leaving clouds of smokes in its tracks. Then we see a close-up of Uncle Iroh in Zuko's bedroom on the ship. Iroh is played by Paul Sung-hyung Lee. Now, if you don't know Avatar, Iroh is to Zuko what Gyatso was to Aang. He was almost that fatherly mentor he needed. Iroh is occasionally very funny and silly, but usually looks out for Zuko, which is always needed. The producers of this series with IGN mentioned we spent a lot of time with the Fire Nation in the first season, more than they did in the original series, which I love. If you saw the animated series, a lot of the history we didn't see or stories we missed was because it was the Fire Nation, because the focus of the story was on Aang and the gang plus Zuko. Then later fans started loving Azula, Toph, or Zuki, and these other characters and other stories, and the lore became so tantalizing. I'm glad that they're taking this approach because it feels like Scott Pilgrim takes off and how he literally took off. Maybe not to that degree here, but you know, you get it, you understand. On Zuko's Pepe Sylvia board, we see photos of Aang and what I think is the volcanoes that power the Fire Nation. It looks like that volcano that Sozin fought. Next to the bottom of the volcano, you see a fan. This is probably Zuki of the Kyoshi Warriors. The beautiful world of the map we also see in the intro of the animated series. I assume blue is the North and South poles for the water tribes, red is the Fire Nation, white is the air nomads, and yellow is the Earth Kingdoms. I translated this as best as I can, and I think it reads Pyongyang mini custards. There may be facilities and activities nearby. A must-have for Hong Kong's natural habitat. Already got the message. Firstly, egg custards was a tart found in Chinese cuisine, and we see them serve them up in the Earth Kingdom. They love them. So did the air nomads. This was one of Aang's favorite foods. Secondly, it shows that his journey searching for the Avatar, he's recognizing the other nation's resources and is like, mine, gimme. And the producer spoke about the series being Japanese inspired, how the locations and influences in the world are based on real-world indigenous cultures and Asian world. So it looks like here the Fire Nation owns Hong Kong and pushing it to build upon it. Hong Kong is basically the Republic City in Avatar, which was founded by Zuko and Aang, eventually in the animated series during like Legends of Korra. I think currently it's claimed by the Fire Nation after they invaded the Earth Kingdoms. You can see the brown curve on the map that's highlighted. That is where Republic City is. Later, we get a glimpse of the back of Zuko's room, and I love that the walls are decorated like the red scales of a dragon. Then we see the outfits of the Fire Nation soldiers, aka the Fire Army. The outfits look identical to the animated series, but more metal, which makes sense because they mess with fire for a living. They also have these curly shoes we see them in, especially Zuko and these bad boys throughout the first season. Their army is also built with non-bending and fire-bending soldiers. Zuko mentions getting the Avatar is his destiny, and this scene really reminds us how much of a mission it was to appease his father and make him proud. Zuko was on a mission in the first season to not go home empty-handed. Then we see Zuko and Uncle Iroh. I imagine the scene is connected to the one where they stop the ostrich horses. Here we go again on how cool the visuals are in this show. Netflix is really cooking with gas on this one. According to the Avatar producers, they really tried to make everyone's bending look different, but also with different sound designs. Iroh bends, you'll hear almost a dragon sound underneath the bending. Now I'm gonna be eating this up more. Then we see the horrible, though insanely hot Fire Lord Ozai. Good lord, I need an ice cold shower after this one. I need to cool myself down because this man is hot. Regardless though, I'll be thinking about this forever. This scene is incredibly important and horrible. This is the rise and fight Zuko scene. So this is the Agni Kai that happens in season 1, episode 12. Zuko, pre-Scar, goes into the war chamber and is told not to speak up in this meeting, and without even thinking, he speaks up about something that wasn't right and was sentenced to an Agni Kai with his father. This is a fire duel that's only won once the other opponent burns the other. Imagine an old-fashioned duel. Zuko bowed to his father during the duel, and his father burned the hell out of his own boy. This is the mark that's left on his face and the reason why he's banished. This happens around episode 6 according to the producers, and we're really gonna get into the core of Zuko's story and journey. I hate when we even see him bowing to his father. This scene was so sad in the series that you start feeling horrible for Zuko, because these kids suffer from abusive parents and their parents' affection is directly tied to their success, and it's just a shame. In that episode where we learn about the Agni Kai with Zuko's father, we learn the history of Aang when he talks to Katara. It feels like this scene here, while Zuko is taking responsibility for his actions, Aang is too. Aang in the series kind of fell under pressure a couple of times, but his friends kept him up. In the first season, I think he gives up a couple of times, especially by episode 19. Then we see Aang and Appa embracing more than a loyal companion. He's like family. During this, Sokka says this:
"You don't have to do this alone. You have me, Katara, and a flying ball of fur. What more do you need?"
I will say this trailer does do a good job emphasizing the importance of the Avatar team. Throughout all the series, this is something that's so strong and you have to see it to understand it. These characters will support each other through all the saddest moments that will tug at our heartstrings. And don't get it twisted, they fight too, but each brings a different quality that always brings them back together. Also, they're kids. Look at them. What's not to love about the little Avatar team? And here is the queen in charge, June, played by Arden Cho, and Nyla. June is a bounty hunter who always had her companion, a Shirsu named Nyla. Nyla has superior tracking skills, scent detection, and a venomous tongue that paralyzes you. Nyla and June are introduced really late in the first season when Zuko enlists her to find the Avatar, so this is probably the beginning of their search. Additionally, I love how Nyla looks. She looks like a little mole monster thing. She looks amazing. Then we see Aang using his airbending staff, which unfolds into a fan-like glider. We saw him use this a couple times in the animated series as well. We see the Hey Bye spirit that I spoke about earlier. In that episode of the Avatar, this spirit steals human villagers in retaliation for the destruction of the forest, so this episode is going to be horrifying, and the spirit will likely be kidnapping Sokka. Then we have a shot of the Kyoshi village. That man is Ken Leung, playing Commander Zhao, who was leading the attack. In the animated series, it was heavily Zuko, and he didn't really succeed. Earlier in the last episode, before they attacked the village, Zuko challenged Zhao to an Agni Kai, and he beat him. But I wonder in the series if they maybe say that Zhao beat Zuko this time, or Uncle Iroh interfered again. This scene could be many things. I'm just not seeing Zuko there. But you can see the Kyoshi warriors right here. Seeing the Kyoshi warriors as their fans is so cool because they are not benders. They are non-benders, and they still kick more butt than any of the benders. They're extremely ruthless combatants that you don't really want to go up against. They use their fans to fan the flames from the firebenders. Also, we haven't seen much of it in this trailer, but Sokka has his club. It's made of a polar bear femur and fixed with a sphere at the end. It's just a blunt weapon he uses in the animated series. We can also see it being used here. This is the city of Amashu, the second largest city in the Earth Kingdom. We venture here in episode 5 where we meet the craziest king that's ever lived. I'll get to him soon because he's in the trailer. You can't really tell because it's so quick, but the person gliding in front of Aang is Tio. Tio was introduced in episode 17 of the first season, pretty close to the end. He can keep up very well with Aang gliding, and his dad designed his glider chair. If it isn't obvious by now, the gang, like Hey Arnold, touches a lot of people's lives, and a ton of characters tag onto the gang for short bouts of time or help them when they stop by, so we should expect to see a ton of people.
I'm the Avatar, and I'm gonna save the world.
So in this scene, we see the Blue Spirit. In episode 13 of the animated series, Aang is captured by Commander Zhao, and the Blue Spirit frees him in this incredible scene. Truly, this scene is already looking super cool. I love it. We cut to Appa dropping Aang on board Zuko's ship. This scene is during Zuko and Aang's first encounter, fighting at Sokka and Katara's home during the first through second episode of the animated series. He's using his staff to blow back the fire army. Later, we see him taking on Zuko one-on-one, and this is the very first encounter, and half the world doesn't know or believe that the Avatar is truly back yet. Cut to Sokka now using what I think is his boomerang. I also didn't think he got this until later in the second season, but I don't think it hurts to get it early. He throws it at a fire army soldier, and I like that the metal, when it hits the helmet, created a spark. Okay, I know I said it a million times in this trailer because every scene is my favorite, but truly this is one of my favorite scenes and my favorite character. This is the King Boomy of Omashu. He's literally just a crazy person, and I love him. He's an old friend of Aang's, and he puts Aang to the test and fights him. The reveal that this old man is actually built and will stretch himself into the strongest earthbender alive is just so funny, and that reveal is so good to me. The wardrobe matches in the underground chamber is stunning, and I said it once and I'll say it again, these visuals are killing. In the next scene, we see Katara and Zuko fighting. This is the end of season 1 in the animated series, The Siege of the North. It has 2 parts. Now remember how I said the producer said they want to make everyone's bending look different? That's the beauty of Katara's. How she moves so synchronized, the Tai Chi, it's fluid, and the blast of water exploding to ice against fire, shaping it into different chaotic tendrils of rope about to like eat up Zuko. Katara is an incredible fighter. No one in her village wants to go against her. She's phenomenal. And of course, she's beating that ass. Be for real. Additionally, the producers mentioned how everyone bending underwent extensive training before shooting their scenes. The core cast went through about 6-week boot camp where they learned martial arts and they learned the different bending techniques. Even if it wasn't their own technique, they had to learn all 4. All Avatar bending styles look different, but they're also created from different traditional Chinese martial arts styles of combat. That's what the producer is speaking to. Water bending is influenced by Tai Chi. It requires a clear mind and relaxed body to get better results. It's not so much about the skill, but how you move and connect with that fighting. Earthbending uses movement inspired by Hungar, a style of combat that focuses on the low stance and being grounded. Firebending is inspired by the Northern Shaolin. It highlights long-range techniques, quick advances, and retreats. It's aggressive and explosive like fire, but fire can also be fluid. Airbending was inspired by Bagua Zhang. It uses a lot of open hand attacks. They're better at evading and counter attacks using circular and spiral motions. Then we're introduced to a young person. This is Jet, another character from the animated series. He was introduced in episode 5. It was titled after him, and I had a crush on Jet, like every young girl did. When I was younger, he was really like the heartthrob of the show. When he lifted Katara up to their treehouse, I said, one day that will be me. Jet worked with the Freedom Fighters, a group of refugee Earth Kingdom children that mess with the Fire Nation troops, cutting off their supply lines and ambushing them. Jet fights with his twin hooks. They have long hooks at the end, and he knows how to use them in fights. We see Aang begin to light up, and this is the signifier he's going into the Avatar state. This is the ability that Avatars have to channel a ton of cosmic energy and knowledge of the Avatars before them. This in part gives them the increased strength and power while bending. They'll have access to all bending techniques, and Aang so far in the series didn't really show up until this point that he could control the Avatar state. I don't think he even did in the very end. It's hard to control. Regardless, you know if you see him getting into the Avatar state, you better move because it's like going Super Saiyan. I love that the producers say we won't see Aang go into the Avatar state as much as he did in the original series this season because they want to convey how important and serious it is. And I agree. That's a great idea because imagine just going full Phoenix Force every other episode. Would it be scary anymore? Then we close the trailer with the 4 bending element emblems. The water bending symbol is the same design as Katara's necklace, earth bending, fire bending, then air, then Aang's arrow illuminating the title, The Last Airbender. And that is it for my breakdown on Avatar The Last Airbender's newest trailer. There are still some characters we haven't officially met, like my favorite character of all time, which is probably why we see so many SmackDown scenes because she's not there yet. I love this series as much as the next millennial. I love this show. I hope you do too. It's a super fun rewatch and 3 seasons go by pretty fast, I promise. If that's too much, that's also fine. Wait until the end of February to watch the live action. If that enlightens you, then go back and rewatch the animated series. I'm sure you have like one friend that will watch it with you. If they don't, I will. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Lulu_Clemons. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Check out the break room and the deep dive. Yep.